Ayeeee! Welcome to this guy. It's the Ayeeee, This Guy's podcast. Hello. I couldn't really say too much. The math. Sometimes you can't really breathe. And just kind of, hello, everybody. I'm DAVANTE Stone, the Stone Pony. And that is the Fry Guy. And that is Elsie, who just put her mask on. I saw that. You wasn't wearing that mask? No way. Look at you. Yeah,
it fell.
Yeah, right.
It fell.
Yes, I hear. That's what I want to talk about.
I'm trying.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so guys, I'm gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna talk real quickly about COVID-19. You remember that? Does anybody remember COVID-19? It doesn't seem like people remember. I mean, I'm outside in Chicago. I'm seeing people.
The mystical unicorn.
I'm seeing people with no mask on. I'm seeing people with masks on like this. I'm seeing groups of people with no mask on. And I'm saying to myself, is COVID left? Is it gone? No, it is not gone. Let me tell you why. 634 new COVID-19 cases. That was just within probably the last hour. And that's according to Chicago Tribune. And 45 additional deaths. Now, there is some good. There's some positive in some of that, and I'm going to tell you what the positive is. The positive is that the cases are now on the decline. The cases are on the decline. And the reason why it's on the decline statewide and also locally is because people were social distancing. They were doing all of the things that our local government that was telling us, and then our state government. And we were doing the right things, and we didn't open right away. And we were taking the necessary precautions, right? If you look at some of the other states, like Florida, oh my goodness, they have
Arizona.
Yep. These places opened real quick. So now you can see the result. Now, with that being said, should we still do the things that we need to do as we're phasing it up? Yes. We still have to wear a mask when you go out and when you go into a store or a restaurant. Yep. And you still have to remember to practice social distancing. Yes, we're washing our hands a little bit more. We're using sanitizer more so than ever. But ladies and gentlemen, let's not be one of those states and one of those cities that does things really, 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 really quickly. And people are just forgetting. I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm going to tell you this. It's been tough because I was in a situation where I walked in and everybody had their mask off and I had my mask on and I felt a little strange.
Yes.
I felt like everybody was looking. It was almost like they were looking at me and they were saying,
why does he have his mask on?
Yes. And they were saying, looking at me in my eye, like, take the mask off. Take it off. Take the mask off. And I didn't want to look them in their eye because I was like, no, I'm keeping my mask on. I'm just talking, that was, me. But I'm just saying, it's gotten to be that way. Now, that's really nuts. Brandon, Fry Guy, how are you dealing with that? And I'm going to go to you too, Elsie, because I got to ask you that question before we move on.
No, I agree with you. It's the same way. It's like they're slowly opening stuff back up. Like now the lakefront is open now. You can go out and do that. You can be at a large gatherings. And you're starting to see certain people not with the mask on as much, especially out eating, because I've been out like eating at the outdoor patios. And the workers have been a little bit safe, but you see a lot of people out there either waiting, I guess because we're outside, without mask on, even sometimes inside. So it is tough because you do see certain amount of people with it's like 50-50 right now. We just don't want to get lost in that. That's the thing that's worrying me.
Yeah, don't get lost in the sauce. Elsie, what about you? How do you feel about that?
So, obviously, this is my first time being back in a long time, like a few months that I've been in downtown Chicago area. And it was different. I went over to Wrigleyville, and first of all, the fact that we have to reserve ahead of time and pay for our meal in advance, that, I mean, it's a good thing on their part because they're making money no matter what. But I was a little startled. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I guess it's just going to be me and my friend. We're going to have to pay $70 to reserve our table. So whatever, we have to make sure we spend $70 because if we were to spend less than that, I don't get the rest of the money. That is not going to be credited back to me, So I have to spend that money.
Yes, you have to spend that money. You froze up on me. She froze up, B.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. She'll come back to us.
But
All
to
right,
get back to
so
what Elsie was saying, I mean, she's right though. I mean, like it is tough because like certain places, depend on their restrictions of the restaurant, you got to pay ahead or you got to pay early. So it's like you got to really get your money's worth because sometimes that's not credited back, especially over there at Wrigleyville, where a lot of stuff got closed down because of obviously the Cubs are not playing and stuff like that. That stuff is pretty much built there for around that whole bar club culture, and a lot of those places are closed down now. So I can see why they're like, hey, you got to pay ahead of time. So no matter what, you getting that money no matter what.
yeah, you're getting that money no matter what. Speaking of which, indoor dining begins. I know that the outside has been kind of crazy. I'm going to talk to you about my outside experience. I went to Potbelly downtown. It was like right off of Jackson. And I went in and got the sandwich, but then there was some chairs out there outside. And I went outside and I ate my sandwich. And I wanted to get a shake because I love their shakes, but they didn't have any shakes. But I ate the sandwich and I was outside. And I had it on top of the table, but of course, you know, I did all the necessary things. I had a bag on top of the bag that was open because I didn't want to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting. And let me just say this about that. I enjoyed the sandwich. I didn't feel like at this time I got tired of like getting food and then walking the food and eating it. So we're
Sorry
gonna
about that.
That's okay. I was just sharing with Brandon that I was eating at Potbelly and I ate outside, and after I finished, I left, and that's what it was. And now some people will tell you, "Oh, I'm not going to eat outside." I've had a lot of people tell me, "Are you crazy? I'm not eating outside." People have told me that. Now, because of this COVID, not that they don't eat outside, it's because of that other reason. Now, that's basically what was my experience, but I just don't like that I see people with masks on. Now, of course, you're not going to sit at the table. It's crazy. You're not going to sit at the table and have your mask on.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Right.
Well, this is my thing. Like, you know, for employees that have to work outside in very hot, like, climates, like, it's just like, how are you going to, like, I don't know, because, you know, you have to worry about, like, hydrating yourself. You have to worry about, like, you know, not passing out when it's hot. So it's like, if you have a piece of cloth on your face and it's 100 degrees outside, you have to like be concerned about that stuff. I don't know. It's just like, I wonder how that's going to play out. Like, you know, right now that it's summertime. So, yeah, like I was saying, I went over to River North. You know, I went to a different neighborhood in Chicago, and it was less strict. Like, I had to be strict over in Wrigleyville. I had to put on my mask at all times to go to the bathroom. But then as soon as I went to River North, it was completely different. It was like, oh yeah, you don't have to wear your mask because we have our windows. Just stand by the windows. So like, we were inside, but we were standing out by the windows. So it was like, it was a very interesting situation.
Yeah, and it's gonna be really interesting and I'm gonna be honest. Last night, everybody and their mama was out. You hear me? Like,
Yeah.
I stay on the South Side in the South Shore area. When I say everybody and their mama, it was so many mamas that was out. I didn't even know whose mama was who. And I'm gonna tell you, it was crazy. People, these are people that were trapped for 3 months. And now the weather and then the restrictions and then people saying, I'm going to wear my mask, I'm not going to wear my mask. And then you're getting close to the 4th of July, people are out. Now, June 26th is the day that Mayor Lightfoot said that there's going to be, of course, most of those indoor dining is going to begin. So now you can actually eat inside now, which is going to be a lot different than just kind of, so you'll be able to eat outside, but now going back in, right? That's going to be interesting to see how that works. And a lot of people now, from what I understand, that they're doing it a little bit earlier than what they had intended. And they're trying to actually align it with Governor Pritzker's how he's doing with the state nation on a statewide. So, but we are going to be opening, and of course, phase 4. Now mentioning phase 4 is coming up. That they're going to be really talking about soon with Governor Pritzker, and this is going to be something that's going to be part of it. But it's going to be really interesting, guys. I can't wait to see what happens. And then later on, and we're going to find out when Fry Guys What's Cooking some of the things that you can be able to, I mean, some of those things that you'll be able to do that you haven't been able to do. All right, with that being said, Juneteenth weekend. Wow. Happy Juneteenth to the both of you. Happy Juneteenth. With that being said, Fry Guy, I want you to break it down about Juneteenth. What is Juneteenth?
All right, Juneteenth is pretty much on, obviously, June 19th, 1865 is pretty much when it got signed that all enslaved people are free. Now, technically, it was 2.5 years before that, actually, slaves were free. But in the state of Texas, which is mostly remote, they had like still slaves there. So then they had to pretty much go there and enforce it on June 19th, 1865, that all enslaved people were free. So that is the day for Black people to be free. You're all free, and everybody was out celebrating. It was amazing to see, by the way, like amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. They didn't even know. Most of them didn't even know. They hadn't even heard. And then the word finally got to them, like you was talking about the Emancipation Proclamation and Abraham Lincoln and what was going on. There were a lot of slaves. And you know what's so crazy back then? Just kind of following the history, that there were slaves at the time that even though they were free and they knew they were free, did not want to be free. And the reason why is because they did not know what to do. Now you're talking about they didn't know where to go. They didn't know. They felt like they were still comfortable. Think about it. And that's so sad.
That's
those
so
plantations.
sad.
Yeah. And think about it. They were comfortable. They didn't want to make moves. You know, they were not as courageous as some people, as some of the people that came along, especially, you know, before slavery. You know, you talk about Harriet Tubman and before that, you know, people, a lot of the abolitionists. But wow, the timing. And we're going to talk about that during our roundtable about Juneteenth, because I know a lot of states celebrate it. There were states that were celebrating Juneteenth before Illinois, and we're going to talk about what Donald Trump said, but we're going to talk about, should it be a national holiday? We're going to talk about that coming up, but Juneteenth is a special day. And with that being said, that brings me right to what's cooking. With the Fry Guy, a lot of festivities, a lot of different prices, a lot of different sales and things. And you've been into the whole mix of it. You've been celebrating. Talk to me a little bit about it real quick.
Definitely. I was out celebrating like on Juneteenth, and I'm still celebrating now as this weekend still going through. But Juneteenth, big celebration all over. It was celebrated all throughout here. One thing you could do if people don't know how to celebrate Juneteenth, we always say one thing you want to do: support Black, buy back Black. Support Black businesses, do some research, you know, learn more about Juneteenth. But one thing that was out there, a lot of Black businesses were celebrating Juneteenth, a lot of specials. Every Black-owned restaurant that I've seen, it was posted all over sites, and I went to a few of them on Juneteenth, pretty much were giving out deals for the price of $6.19. So we had spots like, there were spots in Hyde Park, like you had Soul Shack, you got I Can't Believe It's Not Meat, Lighthouse Grill, you had stuff in Bronzeville with like Sip and Savor, you had a barbecue spot, you had Soul out over like kind of like Northwest, Batterson Berry, tons of places, Lim's Barbecue, tons of places giving out deals for $6.19. It was awesome. And looking at the videos around, places was packed, lines. Normally people, you know, like, Black people, we get a little annoyed, like, hey, I can't believe I'm waiting in this line. But everybody was like happy, unified. It was beautiful. And not only was just the businesses was doing well, there was still a lot of protests and rallies on top of that too. It was peaceful. People was out in Grant Park. They were out there with Governor Pritzker. He was out there too. They was out there playing music, dancing. It was just a good time, still letting them know Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. But it was just peaceful all the way around. It was just beautiful to see. And then over the night, you kept hearing fireworks. It literally felt like 4th of July came early. You just felt that out throughout the whole city. It was beautiful.
It's a good thing. I hope we can be able to continue that. And as we'll talk about that as we talk about during the roundtable, should it be a national holiday? But I'm glad when people can kind of celebrate and be able to enjoy. And you just talked about that, you know, celebrating the culture too, because there were a lot of great African-American chefs in the culture of of just on the side of when you talk about soul food, and when you talk about a lot of these chefs now that are, you know, really prominent, there's really not as many that get the looks, you know, African American chefs, but some of them now that can kind of show what they can do, and they've got some. I was just looking, and I was online, I was watching so many different chefs put together specialties like, you know, black eyed peas with smoked, you know, ham hock on it, and then maybe, oh my goodness, they are putting it.
Soul food is where it's at.
Soul food is where it's at.
You know what?
You're right.
It's where it's at.
Let me tell you, it's nothing that brings people together than food.
Yes.
Really good food. You know what I mean? Good food, and let me also say, a nice glass of wine to be able to have with that meal, and depending on what you're having. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm really excited about just now, after all of the protests and some of the things that we got through, because, you know, it kind of reminds you of that saying that they say that after the storm, you know, you heard that, like, after the storm, what happens? A rainbow comes out, and sometimes those skies, they kind of clear up. And I think that's what's happened with the Black Lives Matter and with the movement. You had in the beginning, people were angry, people were upset, they got out there, they did a lot of crazy things, right? But then after that, the momentum and people not forgetting why we are protesting, the message about George Floyd, the message about the new gentleman, I can't think of his name,
Brooks,
in Atlanta.
Brooks, yeah.
You know, and then, you know, just making it aware, people becoming aware now, and people are uniting, not just in the United States, but now globally, everywhere you look. We were talking about it, Brandon.
Everyone suffers from, like, I mean, the whole, like, police brutality, like that is completely globally, and it's crazy to think, like, I mean, we have it a little better than what people go through out there, but it's happening out here. It's happening.
Definitely.
It needs to stop. It needs to definitely stop. But, like, just, you know, I worked at an immigration law firm for a year and a half, so like 2 years ish. But it was just crazy because, you know, I was dealing with a lot of, like, refugees in, like, third world countries, and they would tell me how brutal it was. Like, it's crazy to think, like, it's just, you know, these are people that have power over us. These are people that are supposed to be protecting us. And we're sitting here, like, finally, you know, we're like, you know what, we've had enough of this. Like, this isn't right. And the fact that we were able to inspire other countries to also do it, like, that was powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. And you can see that message is, like, really resonating, right?
Yes.
With young, with old, from people from different backgrounds and different, you know, for them to be taking down, like, most of those Confederate flags and those Confederate statues just all over. It's like, it's really something to see, which brings me to Aunt JEMIMA, and which also brings me to Uncle Ben, because and then, you know what? It goes on from the Eskimo pies to the Chiquita banana to the Washington Redskins brand and their logo. Enough is enough, and I'm glad that there's awareness now. It's the height of it, and we need to really kind of stay within this mode in order to get some things done. Don't you guys agree?
Yep.
Yes.
There's a lot that the movement is strong, it's real, and I've just seen people really get behind this, and it's not over, because I believe this: the marches are good, but we need policy to enact certain change. Written.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And you know what they say, if it's not written, it didn't happen.
Right,
Okay.
I agree.
So we need those things, right? And we have to still push forward to actually making sure those things happen. With that being said, Auntie Mama and Uncle Ben, talk about that real quickly, Brandon.
So pretty much, it hasn't been finalized yet, but Aunt Jemima, obviously the brand, you know, syrup, pancakes, all that stuff. They're now talking about changing the name, rebranding the name, because obviously those names are kind of tied to, like, those racial times, and they're gonna probably remove it. They haven't announced what they're gonna do yet, but they said it's coming in probably the next month or so, that you're gonna see a new name and a new brand and probably a new face on top of that for that. So be on the lookout for that for both brands.
Right. So with that being said, I have a big rally tonight in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I love that place. Oh, it's so great. 4 years ago, they voted for me. They voted for me. Oh, me, Trump. I love those people. But I'm having them sign waivers tonight. Oh, yes, as they come see me. They've been waiting in line. They've been waiting for days. I'm having them sign waivers. And
come support me, but
I
not my
have
goal
a
is to
little
get it.
secret also that I'm going to share with everybody right now. I'm also including Clorox along in the little souvenir kit for everyone tonight. Now, masks, if you want to wear them, it's up to you. But I want you to come see me, ladies and gentlemen. And speaking of Juneteenth, I love it, Juneteenth. Without me, Juneteenth, it would be no celebration. I made Juneteenth famous. It was me. It was I, Trump. They should call it Trump-teenth. I like Trump-teenth. Don't you? What do you think, guys? No, anyway, I mean, this guy, we can't wait to get this guy out of office. He is a lunatic.
I'm getting more annoyed from him.
Yes.
More by the day.
Ditto.
He
Ditto.
says such, and you know, he actually came out to say that
Yeah.
if it was because of him, if he really didn't cancel his doggone rally that was happening in Tulsa, Oklahoma that was happening on Juneteenth, it was because of him. He brought light to it, and he's taking credit. This man likes taking credit for everything. If you know, guys, you understand that? He is such a big baby. He is spoiled rotten. This guy he needs to go, and he will be going. But here's the thing: we need to vote. We all need to vote, and I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it, people, if you're not registered, you need to register to vote. If you know somebody that's not registered, get them, help them to get vote, whether it's online, whether it's taking them to the poll. We need to vote. The last election, people thought it was in the bag for Hillary Clinton. The reason why they thought it was in the bag for Hillary, because some people were saying, who would vote for Trump? But they did. They loved me. They went to the polls. They came out. Now, we need to show this time, we need to get out and we need to exercise our right, and we need to put the right person in office. I believe that person that can help us heal and bring more respect back to the United States and be able to get some things done is Joseph Biden, okay? So with that being said, we need to vote, guys. He's in Tulsa, Oklahoma tonight. He's gonna have a lot of people, and I guarantee you, that place is gonna be filled with Trump supporters. They've been waiting to see him. This is a campaign stop. And remember, Oklahoma is a red state. You know, a lot of it's a Republican that helped to put him over. Now, we need to vote. I had to get that out there. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I had to make sure we say that. Let's kind of move on now to our roundtable, which is really, really important today. And we're talking about a couple things. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Think about it. Where do we go from here? Are we going to continue? And when I talk about that, let me give it to you in two phases. Where do we go from here as far as COVID? And how do you guys feel moving as we move into the next phases, reopening and being around people more? Because it's still out here. It's still out here. People want to make sure. Sometimes they're making it. The president is not even talking about it anymore. And his task force, have you noticed that? They want you to think that it's kind of disappeared. It's magically going away. How do you really feel? Where do we go from here, Elsie?
I mean, the way that I feel about it, it's like, it's hard getting back into our normal and reminding ourselves that it's still around, especially like how I think it's really ironic that, you know, people in politics are kind of forgetting about it as well. You know, it's kind of like a little trick. And the thing is, like, everyone's like, oh yeah, you know, like the vaccine, like we're all gonna get vaccinated. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I would get it. And it's not, I'm not trying to be ignorant. I'm not trying to say that I want to spread it. I don't want to be a cause. I've been vaccinated my whole life, growing up, but like with COVID, it's just like, there is just something fishy going on. And I don't think I trust what they're trying to put in my body nowadays. Like, I don't think I trust it.
It's really
I
interesting.
think that,
Yeah.
I think that I for sure probably had it like months ago, like when I was in like December, because ironically people got sick around that time, very sick. We all got sick. So, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but like, I'm just saying, like, I mean, I don't really think I would go out of my way to get the vaccine. And, that's just how I feel.
All right. We're going to go to you, Brandon. Where do we go from here? What do how do you feel? You got kids, you're going back out in public now. Are you going to go back more? Are you going to eat in these restaurants?
I think I would try to make it as normal as it used to be. But I think the key word here of how we going on with just this whole new world now is just awareness. So just be aware that, COVID is still out there and there's no vaccine right now. I've also saw the news, like what Elsie was talking about with the vaccine. I mean, I've also heard reports that the vaccine may not even like fully work all the way. So it's like the first doses of the vaccine may not work. So it's like, okay, then what's the point of the vaccine if
guinea
it's not
pigs.
really going to
They're
prevent
treating us like guinea pigs.
Right. So it's just like, I don't know. So the main thing is always be aware, know what's going on. If you have kids, if you don't, you got family, friends, whoever, just be aware of what's going on and still treat it as such in the world that we living in now. And that's with COVID. That's with, obviously, we got the social stuff that's going on throughout here. Just keep the awareness up and don't get lost. Like I always say, don't get lost in the sauce, because you don't know. They might throw something else at you and then we forget about COVID, like how we kind of pushing COVID away and talking more about the social justice. Then who knows? Something else might come in and we push that away. So just keep the awareness up.
Yeah.
Keep the awareness up. Very well said, guys. Let's keep the awareness up. Let's make sure that we're doing all the proper things. And let me just say this, and I think we all know this. People are going to live their lives. I mean, people are going to live their lives.
Yeah.
Do we want to live our lives being in fear?
Right.
Do we want to be, but there is something about having wisdom about certain things and how we approach things. And I think we need to also keep that in mind. But I think that we have to be able to live our lives. We have to be able to get back to maybe not the normal that we were used to, but some type of normalcy, right? Because I think we're all longing for that.
Agree.
So with that being said, I'm glad to see you guys. It's really good to see you. And there's a lot happening. Brandon, Elsie, Brandon mentioned something to me before we close that this weekend was Father's Day.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, there's been,
I know.
I was like, there's been so much going on.
Yeah.
There is.
But let me be the first man to say Happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day.
I think you do really well. You have two beautiful kids. You have a beautiful family. And I know that you guys, do you have anything planned? Are they planning anything for you, or what's going to happen?
He probably doesn't know.
Depending on the weather. I mean, they might barbecue for me. We'll see. But like that's pretty much it. Some low key. Right.
He doesn't know yet.
Yeah. Right. So Elsie, what are your plans for this weekend before we get out of here?
Probably barbecue as well, just like family cook meal, quality time.
What about you?
I'm gonna go out and buy up a whole lot of before they get out, because I want to be able to buy some of those Auntie Mama syrups, because I want to be able to say, because remember, this is like the second time she's changed.
Who knows? Yeah.
The first time she had on one of those kind of like mammy deals that was
horrible. I remember that.
Like she was like, and then she took it off, had like a nice little bouffant. But I want to be able to get, like for a keepsake or something. And Uncle Ben, I'm just kidding.
It might be worth a lot of money.
I
Put
know,
it in
right?
a display case. Put it in a display case.
I need the display case. If you
Pass
find
it,
one,
Joe.
anyone of y'all, let me know. So, all right, I know, right? All right, you guys, don't forget, I want you to subscribe, everybody that's listening right now, to This Guys Podcast. We're on Apple, we are on Spotify, we're on radio.com, all streaming platforms. Share. Have a great time. Hug somebody and stay safe. We'll talk back with you again next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.